back to Advent of Code, Day 4. So today's puzzle starts in about 25 minutes, and until then I'll just be hanging out, and also I'll be figuring out or recapping what went wrong with last night, because I think I learned a couple of valuable lessons from last night. So, let's go ahead and get our working directories set up correctly. Okay, great. And let's go ahead and take care of the boilerplate while no one's watching. Okay. Okay, great. Now let's see. So, here's what I did wrong on yesterday's Advent of Code submission, which I am intending to not repeat again. I accidentally left a X when I was looping through both X and Y, and that was a catastrophic mistake because it meant that the inner loop never terminated because I was waiting for X to be greater than some value, and it turns out that X is always 0 inside of the inner loop if you never finish the first inner loop. So that was the problem, and that caused my code to run out of memory, and I incorrectly blamed the algorithm I'd chosen for being too memory hungry, when I knew that there were only going to be a million tiles, and therefore that would comfortably fit in RAM, and there was no reason to run out of memory other than a bug in my code. But instead, I threw everything out, and that took an entire hour to do the more sophisticated memory conserving algorithm and debug it, and that was a mistake. So, not doing that today. I am going to avoid cut pasting, and if I do cut paste, I'm going to be a lot more careful about reading every single line. This also bit me in my final solution here. I had one single place where I was, where I think here, I was comparing left to right rather than left to left, and that was a grievous error, which again cost me like 10 minutes of debugging. So, lesson has been learned that copying and pasting is really, really dangerous and should be avoided when possible. So, that is hopefully going to result in me having a better showing than last time. You know, it was a fun adventure. I don't mind it. I just have a few regrets. And I do have music playing through my headphones this time, but hopefully it's not leaking through into the audio that you're hearing and going to cause me to incur a copyright strike, because that'd be really unfortunate. Would really rather not have that happen. So let me know if you do hear like audible music, and I'll shut off my music so that I don't get my stream muted or have YouTube take it down. Alright, so we are coming up on day 4. And I have no idea what's in store today, but we'll find out. Let's see, did Twitch reset my tags? No, Twitch did not reset my tags. So I think it happens only when you change the game that you're playing, or game as it's known, given that this is a coding stream rather than a actual game. Because I've been switching back and forth between playing Factorio and playing and writing Advent of Code. And it turns out that Advent of Code is wildly much more popular than Factorio for some reason. Even though I'm probably just as bad at both of them. But, you know, hey, who's to argue with that? I like doing both things. I would do them even if there were no audience. But it's nice to have folks along for the ride. And while we're here, let's do the normal shout out to see who else is streaming tonight, in case you want to go check out their stream. Let's see, today, who is live? Looks like EM Wave 3 is streaming day 3, and Talk to Me Gooseman is doing something, not clear. Can't read the entire description in the search bar. So, we have 20 minutes to kill while we wait. And I would sorely be tempted to spin up my Factorial game, but then it would be it'd be difficult splitting the video up into the 2 segments, so I'm probably not going to bother doing that. Instead, just hang out and chit-chat. Maybe go read some Slack and Discord and so forth while I wait. Huh, that's interesting. Are my notifications showing? Yeah, okay. So my music notifications are showing up in the upper right. And then the other place I like to check to see whether there's any discussion going on is I do like reading the Reddit r/advent of code, as well as looking at the hashtag advent of code tag on Twitter. People are commenting on visualizations of the Santa suit problem from yesterday, which I think is really cool, but unfortunately I didn't bother to implement any kind of visualization because by the time I finished with my botched solution, it was way too late and I needed to go to bed. All right, let's see. So, I guess while we're sitting here waiting, I may as well show what I could have done for day 3 that would have worked just as well. So let's just pop that open and show that the naive solution that I picked would have totally worked. So in particular, I didn't need any of this. That I can leave alone. This I didn't need to do. Let's see, I just need the conflicteds. And then for here, all I need to do is keep track of that, as well as I needed to keep track of what was occupied. And then I could have said something like this. If I'd done this, then it probably would have been a lot simpler. Right, so if I'd done this, then it would have worked. Yeah, something like that. And then I think that does essentially, yep, that should work. And so I think if I run my day 3 revised solution, what did I do wrong? Line 54. Up. Right. Oops. It's not quite right. It's not quite right about it. Let's see. Yeah, so that gets the correct answer to part A easily. Oh, I see. And then the other problem is they have to record who was conflicted, right? I think something like that'll do. Yeah, so that should work. something like this, and then so I think if I had done it this way to begin with, I would have been fine and solved the problem in literally 10 minutes, and I'm deeply regretting that I missed the bug. The bug was literally that I had put an X here, and therefore this was infinite looping and exhausting all of my memory. So, lovely. So, where were we? Just demonstrating that there is a simpler solution than my day 3. Right. Overlaps is, yep, and conflicted. Let's see. Oh. Right, in fact, we don't actually even need this, do we? Okay. Okay, I think that should do it. Okay. And we just want to append our k value there. Let's see. You know what? That'll be good enough. How do we do this? Okay. I think that should do it. Something like that. Okay. Something like that should do the trick. Does that work? Yep. Okay. Yep, see? That takes no time to run. In fact, right, takes like something like 1/3 of a second to run. Compared to my revised solution, or my original solution, which runs about 50% faster, but on the other hand, it takes, it took me an hour to write. So that's the difference between the two, is if I were doing this with the benefit of hindsight, I would have caught the bug, I would have written this better code, and I would have solved it an hour earlier. So the approach that I actually took yesterday was that I created a method for comparing 2 different claims against each other and identifying the rectangle that they overlapped in, because any 2 rectangles, they either don't overlap at all or they overlap in the shape of a rectangle. So I could safely generate intersections that way, and I could only populate the intersections rather than iterating over every single square of every single patch, and then determining the conflicts. So both of them work. One of them is a lot more complex and takes longer to write, and also the faster one is a little bit harder to understand. But they're both reasonable solutions, but for a speed coding competition, you probably want the faster one. So that is the mistake I learned yesterday that I'm hoping to not repeat. So let's see. Let's give that a more sensible name. Okay. Let's check that in just so that it's available. Okay, does that look reasonable? Yeah, that totally looks reasonable. Okay. There. that is now pushed to my GitHub repository, which, by the way, plug, you can find at github.com/lizthegray/admin of code if you want to look at it. Okay, so that is the pre-show material I wanted to cover, which is basically picking apart the things I did wrong yesterday in the hopes of reminding myself not to do them again, as well as hopefully being a little bit educational about the two different approaches you can take to the problem. The good news is I don't have to be awake in a specific time tomorrow, and I'm traveling to the San Francisco Bay Area soon, so I'll be needing to adjust time zones anyway. This does unfortunately mean that there will be no stream tomorrow night because I'm going to be on a plane when the puzzle releases and for 3 hours afterwards. And, you know, it would be rather rude to the people on the plane with me to live stream, both because it would be noisy and also because it would eat all the bandwidth on the plane. So not recommended if you want to, you know, not be murdered on the plane. So by the time I arrive, it'll be something like 3 a.m. Eastern, and I will want to collapse into bed rather than solving puzzles, so I will probably start my stream 12 hours offset at 9 a.m. At 9 a.m. Pacific time / noon Eastern time on Wednesday. So I'm skipping tomorrow, but I'll get to it, and it's not like I was making the leaderboard anyway, so it's not going to make a difference. By the way, are there any questions about the problem that I picked apart in my day 3 solution while I'm here and willing to have spoiler-ish discussions? Because once the puzzle does go live, I prefer that I not be spoiled because I value trying to solve things on my own in general. I will take your silence as a no, that I have explained everything crystal clear, or that you are all confused and afraid to say anything. And if so, I feel really sorry, because I don't want people to be confused. Okay, 7 minutes and 45 seconds to the puzzle unlock. Also, while I'm making various public service announcements, Eric asks people not to refresh the page around midnight. The puzzle will automatically show here when it unlocks. It is synchronized to the server and will unlock on time. So if you're watching this intending to do Advent of Code tonight, don't refresh the page because it will work fine. And if it doesn't, you can wait until a second after midnight and then refresh it. It's not like a second is going to decide this, except for, you know, for the 50 people that are within a second of each other. You know, and I'm kind of curious to see them stream, or at least produce YouTube videos afterwards, because I'm curious how they work. To my knowledge, I am one of maybe 2 or 3 people who is streaming consistently on Puzzle Unlock, and as far as I know, none of us that stream on Puzzle Unlock are actually making the leaderboard. All right. Also, if you all know of solutions for streaming from a Chromebook, I would appreciate ideas. As my setup in San Francisco is very different from my setup here in New York, so it may involve on some days streaming from a Chromebook. I have a 2016, I think, Pixelbook. And it's pretty nice, but it does not directly broadcast to Twitch. It's been pointed out to me that Reflector works, that you can use a Reflector to set up a Windows or Mac machine and use Wine to get a Linux machine to pretend to be a Chrome OS broadcast destination. So there definitely will be some increased latency because there will be one more hop between me and you. but that's fine. So that's tentatively what I'm going to be doing. Is I definitely won't have two screens, but I'll manage either via mirroring the Chromebook or by having my desktop set up in San Francisco. Yeah, my OBS coding scene is basically, it has my camera, and then I just have whole screen mirroring because unfortunately Chrome does not play well with being embedded in OBS. You have to use whole screen, or you have to use a custom plugin that runs a version of Chromium inside of OBS with the graphics acceleration turned off. But that's why I have it set up the way it is it's just a whole graphics device. Yeah, the situation might be different on Windows, I'm not sure, but on Linux, it definitely misbehaves if you ask OBS to just mirror one browser window. Alright, let's see whether anyone else is now live streaming Advent of Code. Looks like Chris Forens is also streaming and in pre-show mode, getting ready to go. 4 minutes, by the way. So feel free to check out some of the other excellent streamers. Wouldn't want to have people only watching my stream. There's benefit and variety in seeing how different people code. You can always SSH into your development environment from Windows. That's the benefit of that, NecroBuffalo. Alright. Let's go ahead and clear these windows and otherwise get my head in the game. By the way, just to confirm, there is no music leakage into the stream. I really don't want a copyright strike on my account. Yeah, boxes in GCP are pretty nice for that, especially the mini instances that are basically functionally free. Disadvantage is if you get a puzzle that requires any amount of CPU, you want to run it on something a little bit beefier, but... also, let me do a quick thing. Unfortunately, I have to deal with a pretty large trolling problem in general, so anyone that I know in real life and trust, I am making a moderator just to be safe in case there is unsavoriness that happens. That's also, by the way, the reason that I don't show my stream chat inside of my video frame is I don't want the stream chat to be memorialized forever inside of my videos. Because as they say, YouTube is practically forever. All right, minute 30 left to go. Let's go ahead and open up my DAO4 file. Let's go ahead and open my input file. The other thing I'm going to commit myself to do is I'm going to commit myself to reading over the problem description twice rather than once, because now it is, I think, 2 or 3 days in a row that I've missed something important about the problem by attempting to speed read the description. Because it's difficult to disambiguate what's flavor text and what is essential to the problem, and therefore failing your reading comprehension check leads to a worse time coding later. I think I'd be less concerned about it if it were only being saved to Twitch, but I also do like to put stuff on my YouTube channel so it can be useful. But I guess it depends on whether you view your WoW streams as useful or not. Oh, oops. While we're in here, let's go ahead and fix that. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. The supply closet. Need to fix the suits. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yep. The entries are in chronological order. Okay, let's look at this. Oh, interesting. So find the guard that has the most minutes of sleep, and then find the minute that that guard spends asleep the most. Okay, that's fine. Oh. So first we have to sort the log. Great, that's easy enough. Okay. So let's paste this into here. That looks fine. Right, and then we have the format. So I'm going to need our trusty regex as usual. Okay, so let's go ahead and we did this last night. Must compile. Okay, and we have a log that looks something like this. Okay. Cool. So this is going to be, are these all 1518? Yeah, they are. Okay, that's fine. 1518. Someone taught me about /d last night, which saves me a little bit of typing and makes it a little bit more readable. Okay, something like that should work. And then there's going to be some string. A to Z hash 0 to 9 plus, oops, oh, yeah, that needs to be that 0 through 9 and space. I think that should do it. Okay. And then, yep, the other thing we need is, okay. Guard number begins shift. Okay. There we have it. Now, okay. So now we want to find all string submatch. Find string sub. a line. So if the length of the parsed is 0, then parsed line. Okay, now, so now we have the month, the day, I think, yep, month, day. Actually, I don't care about the errors because I know it's all going to be an int, I think. Let's just double check it. Conv a to I, parsed 1, okay. Day, hour, and second, or minute. Okay. Parsed 4. If third no R2 line string submatch. Actually, submatch, yeah, that's right. Okay. Guard no. Guard no is equal to 2. Then num is going to be strcond a to I, guard no 1. Else if, oops, not L, text. Otherwise, it could say wakes up, or it could say falls asleep, okay. Great. Something like that should work. Okay. And now we just need a else in case something went dreadfully wrong with our processing. Okay. So now I think I should be able to print for debugging purposes some of these. Okay. Month, day, hour, minute, text. All right, let's try running that. Oops. Comment that. Line 15. Oh, right. My kingdom for the R modifier on Python strings. Line 45 is wrong. Line 45. Oh, whoops, that's just a stray keystroke. Awake is not used. Okay. And then there. Now let's just double The joys of Go boilerplate. D H M. Okay. 965. What's wrong with that? Oh, I see. Okay. What's wrong there? My regex is wrong. Oh, whoops. 1518. Right. Radio. Forgot about that. Okay. First one is wakes up, and it says enable to parse the text. What did I get wrong there? Oh, that's why. Easy enough. Okay, that looks fine. I also goofed something here. Oh, that's just /t instead of %b. Okay. Guard number begins shift. Index is out of range. Begin shift. So that's wrong. Why is that wrong? Did I set up my capture group correctly? Guard number /d begins shift. How do we do this? That should work. This should have exactly 2 submatches, which index 0 and 1. Okay, let's try, let's just really quickly spit out this and just see what's going on there. Able to parse line. Oh. Right. Okay, that's what's going on. So we're not even getting there. Probably because... Oh. Right. That's why. Okay. Excellent. That looks good. We're all parsed, so now we can go ahead and proceed. 10:02, 0006, falls asleep. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay, good. Hey, Eric. How are you? Okay. So that looks fine. So we're going to have a bunch of lines that have an unassigned guard number. Let me just make sure there's no guard number 0. Good. Okay. Implicit assumptions. Yay. Great. So we're going to assume every log entry has a unique time. We're going to define a time. Let's see. Type record. It's going to have a day, or month, day, hour, minute, int. It's going to have a on duty int, and then it's going to have an awake. Okay. So now, let's see. And then we're just going to keep a index of records. we'll define that up here. Okay, something like that. All right. So now, right. So we're going to feed it in the month, day, hour, minute, and then the guard number. And then we'll feed in, yep, that looks fine. Okay, guard number and then awake. Because I think every guard starts their shift on duty. Okay, that's probably correct. If I get it wrong, I can change the assumption. Okay, so now we need to sort the list. And then after we've sorted the list, we can iterate through and fix it up. Okay, so we need to implement this sort function. How do I do that? So now I need to define the sort. Okay. Type by time record. Time. Okay. Something like that. I hate how Go makes you do all of this boilerplate. So infuriating. And error prone. Okay, now we get to the interesting and important part. Okay. If ti less than tj, okay. Now the months are the same. Oh, there's an easier way to do this. That'll be easier. Okay. There we go. Much cleaner. Day, being super careful with my cut pasting now that I made yesterday's mistakes. Hour. At this point, if we're tied on minutes, it doesn't matter. They're all the same. Minute. Okay, great. So now we can run sort by time rex. Okay. Let's just make sure that looks okay. Line 50, okay. That's fine, and then we need the package sort. Excellent. Okay, 1123, 0, 1122, 2356, 1122, 0, 57, that looks good. Okay, great. So now they're sorted. So now, so we're going to hope that our first record contains a guard number, which I think it will. If the on duty so I'll take care of that. And now we need to also do this. We need to keep a record of which guards we've seen and how many minutes they're awake and such. Okay. So, if awake. Okay. Oh, and we also need to record the minute that they... Wait. Oh. But I only care... Wait. Oh, it crosses the day boundary. Some guards start their shifts before the previous day, so we'll need to keep that up. Okay, so that's fine. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. So we need to keep track of the last time that we've seen, as well as a number of other factors. Okay. So the guard becomes awake. Otherwise, they fall asleep. Okay. So what we essentially want to do is we want to build up a map of essentially... We want to build up of guard numbers to what times they're awake and asleep and how many times we've seen them that way. Okay. So if we change the on duty, then we know that we'll record. Let's think about this. How am I doing this? sorry for the camera shake. So, if the... I should annotate this. This is going to be confusing really fast. Key is guard. Value is map. Key is... Key is minute. We also need to keep track of how many times they've been asleep that minute. Okay. Minute 25 is marked as awake. Figure out the guard has the most minutes asleep, but that's ambiguous because it could include minutes outside of the midnight hour, could it not? Let's just check that. Okay. Let's see. Are any of these special in any way? Oh, interesting. Okay, so some of the records show the guard beginning their shifts. Some of them start the previous night. Some of them start a few minutes into the shift. I'm really curious. This guard started their shift at 4 minutes past the hour. Was there anyone on duty before that? Let's see. Guard begins their shift 4 minutes into the hour. That's the next day. Fall asleep, wake up. Wake up, fall asleep. 4 minutes into the shift. Okay. So was there anyone on duty the previous night? No. Okay, interesting. Okay, that's fine. So, let's see. How are we doing this? So every guard appears so far to spend the entire night on shift once they are there. Yeah, the one guard on duty that night. But it's really ambiguous because what happens if the guard begins their shift after the start of the hour? Let's see. So that's guard number 10 begins their shift here. And they're awake from... That doesn't even make any sense. Wouldn't we want to count this time here as... Oh, no, because there was a previous guard standing watch then. We just don't have the logs for it. Okay. Ambiguity. I feel like this puzzle could have had its data better specified. Okay. So let's see. So in that case, times asleep will work. Okay. Okay. So now let me just make sure there's no wackiness. Okay, no one starts their shift at 22, 21, 20, 19, 18. Okay, so we are recording around 2300. Okay. So in that case, yeah, that's fine. So if the guard is awake, we don't need to do anything. Or if the guard just started their shift, we don't need to record anything aside from recording who's on duty. If they just woke up, then the last fell asleep. And the last asleep minute is going to be set to -1 for now. Okay, then... Yep. the minute. Then, let's see. Cool. Do I record any entries after 01? No. All the entries start at 23 or start with 00. Okay. That lets us optimize a little bit. Okay. So let's see. Schedule of the on-duty guard in that minute. They are asleep. Okay. Otherwise, last asleep minute. Okay. Equals, okay. And what happens if someone falls asleep before the end of the hour? Let's deal with that case just to be safe. I'm sure it was thrown in here as a case as well. So if the on-duty changes, we need to avoid the initial starting condition. On-duty is not equal to 0. And last asleep minute is not equal to 0. We'll need to mark the guard as having been asleep until the end of the night. And if we're seeing a guard for the first time, we also need to deal with this. Schedule on duty is nil. Then schedule on duty equals make map int. Okay. Now that makes sense. So let's just make sure that works. Oh. Okay. Cool. Okay. Awake. What is awake? Oh. Oh, whoops, actually, I don't need that. That is, instead of being there, that's, wait, okay. Assignment to entry nil in map. Also, where am I printing all of these? I shouldn't be printing all of these at this point. I don't know why it's printing all of them. Oh. Yeah, I don't know why it's printing. Let's deal with that first. Assignment to entry in nil map. If the on-duty switches, then we define that entry. Let's see, let's just, oh, print line there. Okay. It's fine. Okay, let's just print that for 1 second. Okay, so the first entry is guard comes on duty. Guard falls asleep. Guard wakes up. So I think it's erroring here. Isn't it? Let's see. Oh. IDX. No, IDX is fine here. On-duty guard is the on-duty guard. Let's just make sure that this is not 0 or something else silly. Yep, it's guard number 2963. That's on duty. That's fine. Okay, so that's... The problem is... If schedule... On duty. Does that work? Yeah, that's what I thought. I think that should be correct. What did I do wrong? Yeah. I swear, I did that. So why is that not working? Did I initialize? Let's see. Yeah. I initialized. So I don't know why the map is nil. Because I, in fact, initialized this map here, I thought. Let's just double check this. Schedule, on duty, I, plus equals 1. Just make sure that I'm not using a variable twice, no. Just double check that that's fine. Oh! Wait. Yeah. Why is that not correct? That is a map, isn't it? I should be smarter than this. Double check that. Let's just do this the simple way to make sure that we understand it. I swear I initialized the submap. I'm not assigning a negative value to this, and even if I were, it would be fine. Map int to map int int. Map int int. Should be fine. Okay. Actually, wait, I have an idea. Let's just double check. Double check that that's even correct. Oh. Oops, 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 oops. Now I know what I did wrong. There. I feel like an idiot again. Okay, good. We parsed that correctly. Let's see whether we get a sensible result. Let's see. Okay, that's familiar enough now. Okay. If total is greater than highest, hard, highest, total. Okay. Okay. Hard no, highest, hard no, times highest. Okay, that should do it. It seems fine. Okay. Let's see if that worked. That's not the right answer. Okay. So what did we do wrong? Let's feed it this input and see what happens. Input stay 04 simple. Okay. Inputs 04 simple input. Okay, so. Oh, I misread. Which minute does that guard spend asleep the most? Okay. That is just misreading the puzzle. That's fine. Okay. Count is greater than most minutes. And most minutes equals most minutes is going to be count. Okay. Multiplied by the minute that I chose. Okay. Okay. Go. Select that. That should do it. Okay. Okay, does that look right now? That input is wrong. Indeed. Chosen minute. So it should be guard number 10. Why do I think he was asleep the most on minute 38? sleep. What minute does that guard spend asleep the most? I believe that guard 10 spent the most minutes asleep. Why on minute 24? Oh, because minute 24 was asleep both of those nights. Okay. So, all right. Do I agree that guard 10 spent 116 minutes asleep? No. Guard 10 should have only spent... Guard 10 should have only spent... Oh. Is it possible for guards to fall asleep before the start of the night? I don't think so. Okay. Yeah, okay, that doesn't seem like my problem. Okay. Let's just print, just so I understand, schedule for guard 10. Okay. The claim is that on 3 separate occasions, guard 10 spent minute 36 asleep. That doesn't make any sense. Because in this file, guard 10 was only on duty twice. So we clearly have a bug. Oh, I think I just... Let's try getting rid of that and seeing whether that works. Okay, now that looks correct. Okay, so I think my logic was just broken. Let's try that. Okay, great. Fantastic. It's overcomplicated. Part 2. Of our guards, which guard is asleep most frequently on the same minute? Okay. Got it. Great, so we do need the part B logic. We are parsing the flag. Great. If part not part B, then do that. But if we are in part B, then we need the okay. Okay. So okay, great. guard. We need the simple minutes, simple count, simple minute. Great. Okay, make sure I didn't break that. That doesn't seem right. Oh no, that's two values multiplied together, I believe that. That's not the right answer. Okay, let's run it on the simple input. Input. Okay. Simple guard is guard. Oops. Great. Okay. Oh, there. Doesn't seem right still. Yep. Oh, that's actually correct now. Great. There. Ta-da. Problem solved. Okay. Let's just make sure this code looks okay. Now I'm catching up on chat. Yeah, it looks fine. That looks fine. That looks okay. Yep. Excellent. Well, I think that given it is 1 a.m. here, I'm probably going to stick around for another 10 minutes and then call it quits and go to sleep. Hopefully people enjoyed the ride. I certainly did. Thank you, Eric. Even though I felt the puzzle was a little bit underspecified, it still worked well enough. Have to admit, I am proud of my AOC record, having finished all the puzzles to date. All of those puzzles. Where is that? Oh, where is my info? Oh, I guess it shows it up there, but like, right. Finished 2017, finished 2016, and finished 2015. So you could say that I'm a pretty big fan of this, coding event. So thank you, Eric. Certainly a lot less embarrassing than yesterday's. I think, Eric, if you missed it at the beginning of this stream today, went over what I did wrong with my day 3 solution and proved that the original solution I had in mind for day 3 would have worked if I hadn't had the typo and would have finished in about 0.3 seconds. And the improved solution that took me an hour and a half to debug and run takes 0.2 seconds to run. So it's a third more efficient, but otherwise, you know, it is not not the fastest way in wall time to solve the problem. All right. And yeah, I will plug again, if you enjoyed this, feel free to hit subscribe on the channel, as well as please send Eric money at venofcode.com/2018/support. Because this is where your entertainment is coming from. So please pay him to make sure that it can continue to happen for many, many years. I think the reason that Eric doesn't do Patreon is the fees, right? Like, if you have your own credit card processing set up, then yeah, I guess it would let you fund more projects, though, for sure, if it were recurring through the year. I don't know, Eric. People tend to value things based off of whether or not they pay for them. It's a very weird and strange thing. I would pay you to tinker around with Eve wormhole mappers. Hell yeah. Yeah, I imagine you have a busy day job, Eric. Thanks for the host, Chris. Unfortunately, I am wrapping up right now because I have just finished my day 4 solve and it's getting late here, so. Hey, Chris, I just finished day 4 and I just checked my code in. I was a little bit messy, I think, but it worked well enough. A lot of the problem with day 4 was just, as with the previous days, reading comprehension and parsing. There kind of hasn't yet been anything that won't fit in the memory of and CPU of one machine that's relatively not beefy. So no fancy algorithmic tricks yet just a bunch of maps and maps of maps. So eventually it will get into the realm of things that cannot be solved in an hour, but today is not the day for it, and that means that more people will get invested in it and get on for the ride. Yet, I know. Oh, and by the way, for folks that didn't catch the notice at the beginning of the stream, I am going to be on a plane tomorrow night at 9 p.m. At 9 p.m. Pacific time / midnight Eastern. So by the time I actually land, it'll be 3 hours past the puzzle release date, and by the time I actually get to a computer, it'll be like 1 a.m. Pacific time, so I probably am going to skip my stream tomorrow night and just stream at noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific time on Wednesday to catch up on Tuesday's puzzle. But yeah, it would be very, very rude for me to stream from an airplane, both because of the talking and because of the bandwidth, and I'd rather not be bludgeoned to death by my fellow passengers. That would be not a pleasant way to spend a day of flying. So yeah, I'll catch people in about 36 hours is the long and short of it. Is I don't have a shot of making the leaderboard, so it doesn't really matter what time I started, although I enjoy the camaraderie of being one of the first people to see the puzzles. It's just not going to happen tomorrow night, so. Yeah, there's also the consent issue of recording people with their permission. It's a daytime flight, so, well, it's an evening flight, so it's not a red eye that people would desperately need to sleep for, but at the same time, kind of rude. All right, folks, it is 1 a.m., so I'm going to go to bed, and I will see people on Wednesday for Wednesday's puzzle, but offset by 12 hours. See y'all later. Thanks for watching.